In this video, I will show you how to put together this Christmas light bulb box, an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. And I will also show you how to make a string of lights like this too. In this video, I will be showing you how to put together this Christmas light bulb box together, but it can be used several ways. So just really quickly, it comes apart just by default. It comes apart. So I'm just going to do that. It's kind of have a friction close, and you can put some things in it. Now, some things to explain before we put it together. It is friction, so hopefully it'll hold together like that. But you can put a little glue. I'll talk about the assembly. Also, you can, if you opt to, you could always glue it together here, which I'm going to talk about that. I'll explain why there's holes in there in a little bit. This is a test box earlier, but if your candy's not big enough, you could have it go through the top. The Rolos and the little kisses are small enough to go through the box at the current size, but a little bit tight, as you can see. So that's another way. That can be a lid as well if you wanted to glue those two pieces together. The thing is when you hang it, if you want to hang it, you can attach it to a present, or you could actually use it as an ornament if you wanted to too, but you just don't want to put a lot in there. And the other thing that will affect whether it'll hold is whether you have really thin paper or not. So I'm using American Craft textured cardstock for this. So that's a little bit, it's very engineered box, so it took me a couple tries to get it so it'll hold when you close it like that. So if you just want to do an empty box, you can do that. So this one I glued right here, and it only opens at the top. So you see it's kind of tight at the top too, so it might hold it at the top if you want to glue them together. So it's something to play around with, to show you. And then the other thing I'm going to show you, or talk about it briefly, is making something like this, a big string of lights. And it's slightly different than what you see here. The top's going to have little holes in it, like this. So I changed it after I made this. But the putting it together is the same, but it takes a little bit of doing. So you can see I have these, and I'm going to hang them up. So with those, you could glue these together. Right now they're not glued, but you could just add a little bead of glue. They'll hold without it, unless you're using really thin paper. So that's what the... So let's go ahead. I'll start with the box, and then I'll show you the differences between the box version and the string version. So these are the pieces to the box version. So the only difference between the box version and the... there's a couple actually differences. So the box version, so for this is the same. This has a hole in each side, like that. So that's the box version. And as far as the box goes, the socket, or the little top, which is, I call it the socket, this is what the default one is for the box. So you can put a little piece of twine in the top to hang it, or ribbon. Or the version for the socket it has two holes on the side, and then in the bottom, I'll explain when we put this together how to put it together, but it's just, you just want these in order, so you want them to be lined up, so little holes. So it's going to be no difference. The difference is, and you're just going to line these up so you can slide twine through it. I'm going to warn anybody trying the light version that it takes a little bit of learning to get the way that I did it. I like it because it doesn't require any additional gluing of pieces, but to keep the lights in place on a piece of twine. But some people might get frustrated, and the thickness of the twine might affect it too. So, but I had to give it a try. So with that said, let's go ahead and get it started. So we have these. If you're just using the box, you would go ahead and just add these to each. Let's go ahead and just do that right here. We'll do the little one first. So I'm using American Crafts texture cardstock, and I'm using Barely Art glue. And I have a little pin in there because sometimes I forget and don't cover it, and just to keep it clear so we can go through the video with fairly any delays because of the glue. So the fine tip applicator helps a lot. You can make it without it, so you don't have to put these on. I just think it's a fun addition. So you just want to center those. So you want to be careful about the glue coverage. And you could put it on there with a brush if you wanted to. It's not as thick. So we're just going to center it. So I start on one side. Once I get the first one in place, you just want to make sure you centered it. And you see I have a little bit of glue, but it dries clear. So I'm going to put those on. Let me show you what it looks like for the one with the hole in it. So this is the string light version. They'll just have two pieces like this that have a hole in the middle. So you just want to line that hole up. So let me go ahead and finish this, and then we'll go ahead and put it together. So again, you could do this without putting these on. I got a little extra glue, but it'll dry clear. If you wanted it to just be without it, here's just a version that I made without it. And I'm going to show you, this is an alternate panel as well. Actually, I might as well talk about that really quick. We have these little panels, which I kind of finalized on right here. So there's a bunch of little panels, which we're going to put on next. But if you look in the extra stuff folder, you're going to see this is one of the extras. And also, if you wanted solid versions of these, like if you wanted to emboss them or something like that, I also included the solid versions of little panels here in the extra stuff folder. So let's go ahead and put this together. So you want to make sure it's folded well. And then this little tab I'm going to fold. I'm just going to lay it flat. And just fold it over to line that edge up to the tab fold. Sometimes it should go, it should fall in place, but sometimes it doesn't. You just have to adjust it a little bit. Looks like I put that. I didn't center that panel really well either, so it's kind of hitting that. So make sure you be careful with that. That's why I like pre-folding everything. Then we're going to take one of these and I'm going to add glue to the, one's going to go on the inside and one's going to go on the outside. Could you just put one on the outside? Yes, you could. But I find if you put one on the inside, it helps you attach that top one so much better. So I'm going to fold them inward like that. Then I don't have to do anything. I don't have to line it up because I don't have holes or anything. But if you had holes and you're doing this version, you'd want to make sure when you put the panel in that the holes go like that. So they line up. So it can't be like right there and right there. Okay? So make sure it looks like that. So I'm going to push this in. Pushing it down to apply pressure on the tabs, and then once those are all glued on, we'll go ahead and add this top panel. You want to be careful not to get glue on the outside like I just did. They go together fairly quickly, except for maybe a couple of the details, like it doesn't take that long to put the panels on even after you get used to doing it. I've done quite a few, and I think I timed myself. It probably takes 8 to 10 minutes to put the panels on for me, and I'm kind of a slow crafter. So if you get into a flow of it, Or you wouldn't have to put panels on either, so you could just do it without the panels. So I'm just applying pressure to make sure that I don't have any major gaps up there. So that's the top. So we have two different versions of the top, the box version and the string of light version. So, but we're doing this one. So next you want to do this. Now if you, I tried to use a random pattern, but on a couple of my boxes I used a pattern that kind of, if you don't put it in order, it looks kind of funny. If you use what's going to help you, at least to help me, just a tip, if you do use just a random pattern, you can just put these in stacks by the shape. So you can see I kind of already pre-stacked them. I just have to find them. Put them all there. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. So if you're wondering why I'm telling you this, because it seems obvious. First of all, just to be clear, only 2 go on the bottom, 2 go on the top. So we're going to put these 2 on the top and these 2 on the bottom. Do not put anything there because that's where the lid's going to slide over. Okay? If you do something like a pattern paper that has to line up, what I would suggest like this, and that's silver, so it's kind of hard, or like this. Let me get this one. This is easier. You see I cut this with pattern paper, and I did my best to match it up. I didn't match it up exactly because I don't have it rotated right. But you would want to put them in stacks of what matches. So if you cut this out, so this is a little bit harder. So you'd want to take this in a stack, this in a stack, this in a stack. But it all depends on whether you put it on, how you put it on top anyways. So that's what you'd want to do if you had kind of random looking paper or something like that with a pattern and you want it to come all the way down. So that was easy to match up because I had these little lines down there. So we're using a random one, so we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put this away there. I'm going to do the bottom first, just because I like to get the little things out of the way first. So the ones you need are this one and this one. These 2 are for the top. So we're going to put that up there. So the taller one of the 2 is the top. So this, the way that I like to do it, you can put it here. We just want to, you want to probably pre-fold this. So I'm using perforated score lines because it's just easier to fold. Especially with this little skinny thing right there. These skinny right there. That's why I decided to use perforated. For those that it just bends easier. I use a lot of solid score lines, but this one I would say, unless you have a file that does kiss cuts, I wouldn't do that. So we're going to go ahead. You can always add glue to the back. And center it, or the other way you can do it, and just make sure it doesn't go over the score lines. It's got barely an edge. It doesn't sit. It's not exact. It just has a bare edge because I wanted a little bit of the color of the box to show. So you could add glue to the back of this, or you can add glue on the area you're placing it. So for this one, I'm doing that. And then I found doing this because I am one that drops things a lot. So I tend to add something, I add glue on a piece and I drop it. And then I have a real problem, right? Because I just dropped it on a place that it didn't belong. Then I go ahead and just center it. So that's a different way of doing it. So I'm not going to do them all. And then this one will fit, whoops, I have it upside down. Let's put it the right way. Right up here. The bigger pieces are easier to add glue to the back, but again, I do worry about dropping it, so sometimes I just add glue to the bottom. So and I'm going a little bit slower. As you do them, it actually gets faster. I didn't believe it until I did like lots of them for the string and testing and all that fun stuff. So go ahead and center it. What would be really cute too, I haven't done one like this yet. I'm probably going to do that, but one with little embossed panels if you put it through an embossing folder. But I don't really have really super small embossing patterns. I wish I did. And some of them actually tear apart my paper, so I'm going to finish putting those on. And then on this one, so I'm going to just stop there and I'll put the rest on off camera. And this one is just simple. This goes on the bottom panel, centered. This goes on the top. So as a reminder, if you do like our videos, I ask if you could give us a little thumbs up or a like on the video, and or subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. If you hit that little notification bell to the right, you'll be notified when we have new videos, new projects, freebies, that kind of thing. So the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and just keep on adding them across. And then next step we'll be putting together the actual box portion here. Okay, now it's really not that hard to put together. The biggest thing is that this is very engineered, so you want to get it as precise as possible so the lid will fit on right. So it's not that difficult if you have a good crease. So we're just going to go around and glue these two tabs underneath. We're going to line up this edge to the tab folds. So I'd start with the bottom and then we'll line it up. I just try to don't get glue on that. I have my little wet, damp towel. And once that's set in place, you can go ahead and line up you can put your finger over this to line up, make sure it's all lined up okay. This edge to the tab fold. So we're just going to continue going around and doing the same. So I'll do just one more here while I'm talking through it. So I'm just reaching inside on the tab and the inside, lining it up, and then just lining it up there. So I'll go ahead and we'll finish this. So just want to keep on going around. When we get to the edge, we're just going to do these 3 tabs, but start with the bottom one first. So I'll come back shortly while I'm doing that back one. The bottom one, I mean. So now that we're to this last one, you want to get this one in place first. So line that up, and I push the other tabs down a little bit, but you want to start with that one first, because if you don't get it set, what's going to happen is you're going to pull it apart when you go to the second and third. Let's see if I did it long enough. It's really not that difficult. I just, for sake of time on the video, I try to do it a little faster than most times. Line it up right there. So you'll notice that I'm trying to carefully line it up at the edges every single tab because of the fit. So we want to make sure it's as accurate as possible. The same thing with the lid. It's really this area that makes the biggest difference with the lid, because it can be a little tight. And I'll show you when that's a little bit tight after we get done with this, so you can see how you can work around it. So now we want to go ahead and finish this one. So the same thing, we're just going to add glue to this. So make sure that you're good at everything's good and folded. I don't have every tab folded, so let me do this first. Premature glue here. Just going to glue this edge. So when you fold this, kind of want to make sure you want to fold this down. So these all have to be folded towards you. And that's where also the dashed cut lines come in. But you want to fold it in a valley fold, which is like that rather than down. So you want to do that before you start gluing it. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and fold the rest of these so I can get some good creases on it. I forgot to tell you that probably you should have done that before you put the tabs on, but okay. And then you could put glue on both these at once, but if you do them like this, you can always do it separately too. So I'm just going to do one more after this, just like the last one. So I'm just lining it up, and again, this is going to fit on based on friction. So you want to try to get this edge lined up right to the tab fold, and then it'll have a nice snug fit, but not be too big. So you don't want to go over. You don't want to push this past the fold. So we can go ahead and add glue on both if you wanted to, or one at a time. So, but start at the bottom one. Get that nice and lined up. And just like the bottom box, it's really the most important thing to line up will be this edge. So I'm just kind of nudging that over. Looks like on the inside. And then I'll continue to put this together. And the same thing as the bottom part. When you get to the last tabs, you'll want to go from bottom to top. So as I mentioned, if you need to get it as accurate as possible for it to slide on, but you know, if you make this too small, it's going to be tight. If you make this too big, it's going to be tight. Make too small, this too small, it's going to not friction. So it's just a lot of things, but you can see, right? This is really close. And this is not too big, but right there, it just takes a little bit of doing. So the reason is I wanted it to hold. So that was the whole reason of me doing it the way that I did. Okay. So does it make it harder to get it off? Yes, it does. So, I mean, somebody can't just hold, you just can't open it. So let's say you put some candy in it, because I said candy goes in it. So let's use this example because I have some candy in it. I have the top. I would glue the top on this one. And I haven't. So let's go ahead and just do this one. If you wanted to glue it, I would just add a little glue down towards the bottom. So I'm just going to make this permanently glued. You don't want to do it on the actual lid. So don't. I just happen to use a one with a hole on this one. Then go ahead and line it down. Have it go down. So I just don't want the glue pushing too much, so you don't want too much glue. So one thing is you can make it a challenge for them to get the candy, right? There it is. Just shake it out. And then, so with this friction, did you see how much is in there? You can open it up. That's quite a few. And then placing it over again. So you can train it, and that would be a fun thing. I thought that was a fun gift. If you put candy in it and it's too loose, you might want to use a removable adhesive just on a couple portions of this so it'll still open. But I've had boxes that open easier than others, and it just depends on how you put it together. So, and it takes a second to put it on like that. But you can see it's pretty sturdy. And I just wrap this around. So in here, before you glue it on, you want to run your twine or whatever you're going to use through the top. So this is a really this twine is thin and it's not very thick. It's not very firm. So when you put it through, it kind of just buckles when you put it through. And the reason why I have a different slot here than this one is that I'm assuming you would use twine for this. And for this, you could use twine or a ribbon. So you have options. So this one, just go ahead and pull this through. So that's, then you could trim it. And this, you could either glue it at this point or just place it on. Just to also give you an indication, depending on what candle you use. These are a little bit bigger than a kiss. So these can fit in the top like that. Are they harder to get out? Yeah, that's another fun thing. So if you wanted to glue it here, because let's just say you wanted to glue it shut here, because you wanted to put a lot in there that were super heavy, you could leave the top so it can be removed. So, but that's really small candy. So you can see it comes out. That's another way to do it. So it's a versatile box. And then next we're just going to show you how you can string this through using this. So you can't use this one because you need the one with the holes. So we're going to go ahead and put this on there. Now I want to show you how to string these through so they'll stay in place and all that fun stuff. There's a couple things I did to get prepped. One of the things is for this one, this is all the right size. I mean, I know I'm zoomed in, but right there. I'm going to string this in my front room. Now, at the time I didn't do the little holes, but I switched it because there's no need for the long holes like that. But you can use them if you want. So we are going to use these. So what I did was I started at this side. I cut about a 4 feet length, and then I strung on this one first, and then I strung this one next. So I determined how far I wanted them, and I cut this little twine about the same size. So as I was adjusting each one to put on it, so I started from this side, and then the next one came, I put on using this side, and I strung it next to it, and then I cut a piece of twine for the size, or the size of the gap. I'm losing my words today for whatever reason. So when I put the next one, it's a little bit smaller, but I can adjust it as it goes on. So let me show you how to get it on a piece of string. So you can glue these together first. It's up to you. I mean, if it's just a string of lights and it's not holding very well, just add some glue underneath this where these join. But you can see this is pretty tight. That one's not going to come off easy. So if it's pretty tight like that, you don't have to do it. But if it's a little loose, you might want to. So the way these go on, I told you that these little holes had to be in line when you install them or put them on. So the way you want to put this on is, it's going to seem kind of strange, but it's going to have to go through the one side hole first, right here, like that. It's going to look weird, so just bear with me. And then it's going to go through this one, so that's that one side hold. And it's going to be harder with flimsy twine. And I'm using this on purpose so you can see it's doable. So you can see that's like that. So this is assuming this is the left hand side of a big long string, and this is the right hand side. Okay, so you want to put it over to the right as much as you want, and then you would add them the same way from the left. But we're just going to show you one. And then for here, let me put that down like this. So we have it like this. So now for this part, you don't want to do anything with this at all on the right. You just want to deal with it on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and take this that's coming through, went through this side, that side. It's coming from the box right now. We're going to put it into the hole that's closest to the side that we just put it through. Like that. And then we're going to go ahead and take it and put it through the other hole on the other side. So you want your twine to be longer so you can trim it off if like this kind of twine. That little silver part, the red part comes off. Like that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the opposite. We're going to go through the hole on the box on this side. And then through the, make sure you get all the slack. And then through the hole on the side, on the other side. If for some reason, this is why I say keep slack. So you can cut it, get an edge. So I made mine pretty long. Because I knew I might have that problem. But I used cord on my other one. So at this part, it looks pretty messy, right? Let me get this out of the way. So we're lining it up. You can see how it's lined up. I'm just going to kind of pull it down with two hands like that. Making sure that this is lined up with this side that I started with and the other side as well. So just get it kind of taut but not tight. I'm not pulling tight. I'm just getting it lined up. Then I'm going to carefully line it up. Oops. This is where it gets a little bit difficult. And you can see now I have it on. So as I pull it on, you don't want to pull on this because it's going to tear those little things. You just want to push it down and let it, this is why you need a little bit of extra. And as we're pushing it down, it'll line up. But a little bit of it got stuck underneath. Like that. And why I did it this way is because once you get it lined around here, it's less likely to move on you. So see, now it's stuck in place. But the nice thing is, if you said, "Oh man, I don't want to," I'm going to tie like right here, or you're going to tape it to something. If you, let me show you that again. To adjust it, if you wanted to go to the right just a little bit more, like maybe to right there, all you've got to do is loosen it that way and pull it through like that. Then you add the next light. And then you can use your trick, which if you cut a little piece of twine on the distance that you want between the two lights, like that, you can make the adjustments by just moving it left or right, just like that. So that's how I did that, my string of lights. So that's why we have two different versions, because one has the holes and one doesn't. So we have the version where you can just have this come apart if you have enough friction to hold together. You have a little candy box like that, or a little goodie box. Or you could glue this. You could do the same thing. Here's the same. You can go ahead and pull that top off and add little candies in. I would suggest you make sure the candies fit in that way before you give it to somebody. Fun ornament, or something on a box, a little gift box. And then same thing here. I just made sure it went through. I had glued that one together. There you go. It was tight enough. It's tight enough to hold. Just I couldn't put a lot in there, but that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I thank you so much for watching.